You are watching HALF24 Football News. Today in the issue, Bundesliga capitulates before Kane. The transfer detective around Osimhen, Jesse Lingard chooses exoticism, and new FIFA rules that will change the game forever. Let's go. Let's face the truth. The Bundesliga is officially over, although it is only the beginning of March on the calendar. While in England, Spain, and Italy teams are fighting for every meter of the pitch, and the intrigue keeps everyone in suspense until the last minute, in Germany, everything is decided. Bayern de facto becomes the first champion among all the top leagues in Europe. The last Der Klassiker at Signal Iduna Park was the final straw for those who still believed in a miracle. The Munich side's victory, 3-2 over Dortmund, looks like an action movie, but in reality, it was a sentence. A 13-point gap after 24 rounds. 65 points for Bayern against 52 for Borussia. In parallel realities of the EPL or La Liga, they can only dream of such tranquility, but Vincent Kompany and his machine can already order the champagne. But the real nightmare for rivals begins when you look at the list of goal scorers. Bayern isn't just winning matches, it has privatized the entire league. The first two lines are exclusively Munich's. Harry Kane with 30 goals is just another galaxy. Right behind him is Luis Diaz, 13 goals and 10 assists. For Harry Kane, this is already becoming a pleasant routine. Last year, he finally lifted his first coveted salad bowl over his head, forever closing the mouths of the haters and destroying the memes about being trophyless. But now the stakes have risen to the heavens. 48 goals in all competitions, including Bundesliga matches, cups, the Champions League, and appearances for the national team. When Munich paid 100 million euros for him, some doubted. Today, Kane is the main favorite for the Ballon d'Or. The scenario looks ideal. Another title in Germany is already almost in hand. If Bayern goes on to take the Champions League Cup, and in the summer England performs successfully on the fields of the upcoming World Cup, Harry is guaranteed to receive the status of the best player on the planet. This is not just statistics. This is a path to football eternity. Is there anyone left in the world who can beat these trumps? Or can we already crown King Harry right now? Juventus has started a game that more closely resembles a financial thriller than a normal transfer. Victor Osimhen, the man who only recently single-handedly knocked the Turin side out of the Champions League, could now become their main hope in attack. The Zebras have already almost reached an agreement with Galatasaray, but this transfer is complicated by legal traps that Napoli set back during the Nigerian's departure for Istanbul. The fact is that for Victor's return to Italy, the Turkish club will be forced to pay Napoli a huge fine. 70 million euros, that is exactly the price Aurelio De Laurentiis set for the right of Osimhen to play for another Italian club. Next season, the amount will drop to 50 million. But Juve wants the forward right now and is looking for any loopholes to avoid paying this money to a direct competitor. Let's not forget about the 10% of the sale amount itself, which must also go into the pockets of the Neapolitans. Victor's figures leave no room for doubt as to why Turin is ready to take such risks. 16 scored goals and 4 assists in 24 matches of the season. He already proved his strength by scoring against Juventus in that very dramatic round of 16 series where Galatasaray advanced with an aggregate score of 7-5. Now the old lady wants to sign its former executioner so that he starts scoring for them. But will the Turin side have enough financial cunning to bypass Napoli's contracts, or will this transfer remain just a dream on paper? Gareth Southgate has finally broken his silence, and his words have become a real challenge for all of footballing England. The former manager of the Three Lions openly spoke about returning to the big game, but his ambitions reach significantly higher than the middle of the league table. After 8 years in one of the most prestigious positions in the world, Southgate made it clear that he does not intend to settle for trifles just for a simple appearance in the EPL. I have no desire just to return and coach in the Premier League. I already did that at 35 years old. Back then, we finished 11th or 12th. Who is in those positions now? Maybe Bournemouth or Brighton? Therefore, I don't feel the need just to go there for the sake of saying that I worked in the Premier League. I held one of the biggest positions in world football, and in that sense, I was spoiled. Big matches, outstanding players, absence of interference from the owner. This statement looks like an open declaration of a hunt for a seat in one of the top clubs. Southgate, who left the national team after Euro 2024, is used to the elite level and does not want to return to a struggle for survival or the stable swamp in the middle of the table. But the question lies elsewhere. Is any giant ready to entrust its fate to a coach whose style of play was often called too conservative? Will there be a place for Gareth among the elite, or will his spoiledness by big matches prevent him from finding a new job? It seems this football year has decided to test our nerves for strength even before the starting whistle. While fans count the days until the World Cup, big politics is once again trying to dictate its rules to the game of millions. The military conflict between the USA and Iran has jeopardized the participation of the Iranian national team in the tournament. Crisis meetings have already begun at FIFA. On one side, military strikes and severed diplomatic ties. On the other, the dream of a safe World Cup where all 48 teams are supposed to play. FIFA Secretary General Matthias Grafstrom at a meeting in Wales was forced to admit that the situation is difficult, but the organization's position remains unchanged. Football must be outside of politics, and the safety of every participant is an absolute priority. Iran, which fell into Group G, along with Belgium, Egypt, and New Zealand, is now effectively hanging in the air. If the situation does not stabilize, the United Arab Emirates or Iraq could take the Iranians' place. But for FIFA, such a scenario is a last resort. The whole world has held its breath because not just the participation of one national team is under threat, but the very philosophy of the celebration of football. Parallel to this, football officials from IFAB have decided to stage a real revolution in the rules to finally put an end to time wasting. At the 2026 World Cup, we will see football that will become much faster. From now on, for a throw-in from the sideline or for a goal kick, players will have exactly 5 seconds. The referee will begin a visual countdown, and if the player dallies, the ball passes to the opponent. A delay of a goal kick will now be punished with a corner, and a drawn-out throw-in with a throw-in in the opposite direction. But that is not all. Strict time limits are being introduced. A player is given only 10 seconds for a substitution, and if a footballer received assistance on the pitch, he is obliged to leave it for a minimum of 1 minute. Even VAR has received new superpowers. Now video replays will be used to correct erroneous second yellow cards, check corners, and cases of mistaken identity of players. It seems the ERA of tricks and simulations is coming to an end. Will the Stars cope with such time pressure, or will we see a record number of corners due to the slowness of goalkeepers? Jesse Lingard is again doing what no one expected of him. Forget about comfortable America or a return to England. The former Manchester United star is packing his bags for Brazil. Here we go. An agreement with Corinthians has already been reached. The contract is designed for 1 year with an option to extend, and Lingard joins Timol as a free agent. Interestingly, Jesse had concrete proposals from the MLS on hand, but decided to choose precisely the hot Brazilian championship. Perhaps he is looking for real football passion and not just a quiet life in the States. In the near future, a flight and a medical examination await the player before the signing of all papers. Will Lingard be able to become a new idol for the fans in Sao Paulo, or is this just another attempt to remind people of himself in an exotic league? A real drama is unfolding at Tottenham right now, more closely resembling a script for a disaster movie. The club, which only recently was fighting for a Champions League zone, now finds itself in 16th place in the table, only 4 points clear of the relegation zone. The situation is so critical that the future of the main stars of the defense, Christian Romero and Mickey van de Ven, is under threat. Rumors about Manchester United's interest in the Dutch defender are becoming increasingly louder. Despite the fact that the Spurs management set a price tag of a crazy £100 million, the Red Devils, along with Real and Liverpool, have already lined up in a quay. Fabrizio Romano confirms Tottenham will do everything so as not to lose both defensive leaders at the same time. But there is one nuance that could destroy all the Londoners' plans. If the club is relegated to the Championship for the first time in 49 years, keeping such a pair of center backs will be simply impossible. Van de Ven this season has become a real phenomenon, scoring 7 goals, which is an anomalous figure for a defender. While interim manager Igor Tudor tries to save the team from disgrace, behind-the-scenes talks are ongoing about a takeover of the club for £3 billion, which has now hit serious obstacles. Tottenham is literally balancing over an abyss, from a potential sale for billions to the real threat of relegation and the loss of its best players. Will Spurs be able to hold on in the elite, or will we become witnesses to the biggest clearance sale in the history of North London?